Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and now that my two informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk a little bit about the whole CrossFit phenomenon. Because it really is an interesting thing. And you know, me coming from a powerlifting background, I have been skeptical of CrossFit quite a bit. I see problems with it, and it catches a lot, and I mean a lot of criticism out of the various bodybuilding and bro circles online. But you know, that's kind of the interesting thing. I've had to look at it objectively and ask, is all of that criticism actually valid? Some of it is. A whole lot of it's not. A whole lot of it is not. And when I look at the cumulative sum of it, and yeah, I know Elgin and all these people like to make fun of it. Yes, there are problems with Rahabdo. Yes, they do those silly flop-ups. They call kippings or whatever. But outside of some of the stuff like that, when I look at the total sum of the good that CrossFit has done versus the potential negatives, I think it's fair to say it has done a lot of good. It's done a lot of good. I mean, this is topics I have with coaches, with athletes, with trainers, things like that, things that people notice. Just the general shift in the gym culture that it's created has actually been an extremely positive influence. I mean, yeah, I talked about some of that the other day with the 24-hour fitness and some of those, and how many of the 24-hour fitnesses now have massive functional strength areas. These are commercial gyms where you get nationwide memberships. I have seen half a dozen 24-hour fitnesses that have multiple racks now, not 2 or 3 racks anymore. Olympic lifting platforms, big sets of like 6 set racks where they have 6 racks and then multiple squat racks separately, bumper plates, Olympic plates. All this stuff, sleds, prowlers. All right, these things are becoming common in some of the bigger commercial gyms, specifically because of CrossFit. Because here's the thing, as you guys know, I believe that Joe Weider and his stuff have been the most detrimental things that ever happened to gym culture, right? I think behind that are machines. That's my stance. I don't like machines. I don't think they have a place outside of rehabbing elderly people and a rehabilitative environment. I don't see them as being beneficial for people who are trying to become fit and athletic. And I know that's a controversial statement. That's an extremely controversial statement. A lot of people get angry when I say that, but you know what? That's my opinion. And you know what? You might have a different opinion. You're entitled to that opinion. If you think hammer strength machines are the greatest things since sliced bread and that they're magical and sprinkled in pixie dust or cocaine or whatever it is you want to be all over them, you're entitled to that opinion. You are entitled to that opinion. But mine is that they're useless garbage. Overpriced, useless garbage. And I think they do literally nothing that a barbell can't do better. And that's kind of the point, isn't it? CrossFit's got people back into barbell training. Furthermore, it's gotten women into barbell training. How many women are now in shape and strong and fit compared to 20 years ago as a percentage of the population, particularly here in the U.S.? CrossFit has had an absolutely enormous impact on women's fitness. And then all you guys out there going, man, I wish there were more really fit chicks in the gym. Wish there were tons of them. Well, maybe you go to the wrong gyms. Go look at a CrossFit gym. How many fit women are you going to see there who are in shape and serious about training compared to where you probably go? Go to any of the bigger Globo gyms now that have massive functional fitness areas, and I think you're going to find your ratios a little bit different. You're going to find 50 to 60% of the people training in those areas in some gyms are women. Because CrossFit has taught women that squats, front squats, back squats, power cleans will give them the body that they want. They've watched it happen with all these other women. It's got women into barbell work. Got women into barbell work. You got my aunt into powerlifting. And that's another big thing. All right, how many people have started with CrossFit now who might not have trained before, got serious about training and have jumped into either Olympic lifting or powerlifting. I know a ton. I have met a lot of people who've made that crossover. It's an introductory. It's an introductory. And here's the thing, guys. We as a society have an enormous obesity epidemic. Diabetes and heart disease are killing us as a society. I mean, people want to talk about stuff like, oh, gun violence and murder. All right, that's a drop in the bucket. That has nothing on diabetes. That has nothing on heart attacks. They're not even in the same level of magnitude. We have an obesity and a fitness crisis in the Western world. And then you have something like this come up that, yeah, it's trendy. And it's getting people off their ass and in the gym in enormous numbers. And for the first time, you are seeing women doing it. And it's pushing people into other strength sports. And it's getting people doing stuff that actually helps. Because you want to talk about the biggest failure in fitness? The machine circuit training. Getting people on machines. All right, that has been the biggest failure that has failed to produce results in terms of getting the general population really into shape. All right, people who are going to these CrossFit boxes are now part of a group effort. It's all movement patterns that are functional movement patterns. A squat's a functional pattern. You're just loading it. All right, a push press is a normal human movement pattern. All these barbell exercises are just movement patterns that are normal for the human body. They're not artificially created. Like a lot of the machines with fixed planes. These are dynamic, normal human functions that can now be loaded with resistance. It produces superior results. Produces more athletic people. Produces stronger people. Produces fitter people. That's all they do. They're here now in these environments where it's now a group setting with instruction, where other people are going to motivate them, where it feels like they are part of a group. All right, that's important for motivation. And I mean, we can talk about all of us who are self-started. A lot of us are self-started. I like to train alone. I don't like a spotter. I don't like that. I want to come in and lift heavy and do my own thing. Those of us who are self-motivating towards a sport or an endeavor or hardcore training, we are a tiny, tiny minority. There's a reason that thing is growing. Because people feel like they're part of a group. And they feel like they have other people helping them, other people motivating them, other people helping them keep on track. And they're here promoting, we could argue about some of the diets not being best, but they're still promoting minimally processed foods. They got people eating more lean proteins, more vegetables, all right? Less processed food, and they have people coming in and training really, really hard. People who would have otherwise not been motivated to do so, but they're doing it in a fun group setting where everyone who comes in there feels that they're part of something. Yes, they spin it as being elite, but everyone who comes in now feels that they're part of something special. And you didn't understand what a motivation that is for the human animal. With our herd mentality, that's a powerful, powerful motivator. Getting people in there in groups. Training hard. Actually, people who would have never otherwise considered training hard. And then people bring their friends and they get other people in. It's growing. It's getting massive. And it's working. Yeah, there are problems. But it's working. It's a successful business model. It's getting people into shape. It spawned a whole new sport, which has worked wonders for women's fitness and women's athleticism, where they can go make money at something now. It's getting people back to barbells and general physical preparedness. And here's the thing. I would always argue that I think everyone should build a base under heavy barbell work. I think strength training is key. That's where I agree with the starting strength guys. But the CrossFit model has been tried before. That's what people don't realize. You guys remember what the Russians did for generations during the Cold War? How the Russians trained all their athletes. They took all their athletic potential individuals and they had them grow up playing every sport. They learned everything. They focused on general physical preparedness. And then once they had all of them in shape, all of them doing all this GPP work, then they hand selected the ones into the sport that they were best predisposed for. And they produce a lot of champions that way. This is basically the Russian model. This is the Russian Olympic athlete model being applied in a setting as an elite group that the average person can buy into and join. It's the same model, because what happens? It's exactly what's happened. How many of these CrossFitters, they're doing the CrossFit games, some of them, they're doing the CrossFit stuff, and then they're jumping into other sports once they've built a fitness foundation. And a lot of these boxes are hiring coaches now. All right, and I know this firsthand from multiple people I've talked to who've gone to them, including my own aunt. These gyms, a lot of these CrossFit boxes, to provide more value to their customers because they know they're going to want to branch out. They're hiring Olympic lifting coaches, hiring powerlifting coaches, or hiring general strength and conditioning coaches to put them through specific classes to learn to power lift, learn to Olympic lift, so that they can branch out and go compete in other things. And they are competing in other things. It's kind of doing that same selection so that you can then specialize a little bit after all the GPP work for those who want to, whereas they were hand selected by the Russians. It's the same model. And I mean, we can talk about some of the negatives all we want, but it's getting people in shape. It's working. It's actually working. I'm not saying it doesn't have some problems, but so does everything else. It's working. And it's growing and growing and growing. And I'm going to tell you what, guys, it's not going to be that long. At the rate this thing is growing, CrossFit is going to overtake all this physique stuff. It's going to overtake it in popularity. And all you guys out there who are all worried about, how can you look like this model, and worried about your machine curls and your machine presses, you're about to find that over half of the fit guys and all the fit women don't care about that. They're all going to be doing CrossFit type stuff. They're all going to be asking you, they're not going to care about your pecs. They might ask you, how much do you power snatch? How many times can you snatch your own body weight? They're going to start asking you stuff like that, because that is what is the direction fitness culture is moving in. And it's happening at a pretty rapid pace. And this bodybuilding stuff is about to be obsolete. It's going to get pushed out. Other than a handful of young, naive men who get sucked into that culture, and everyone else who trains is going to be going to either these CrossFit boxes, or they're going to be hanging out more and more and more in the functional fitness areas and the big Globo gyms. And all this machine stuff and all the bodybuilding and the fluff and pump is going to get left behind. It's going to be the minority of people who train or consider themselves part of a fitness lifestyle. That is the direction this is happening, and it's happening quickly. So a lot of people just haven't realized it yet. They're not paying attention. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.